Hello, parents and students. So, I am making this video because I've been getting questions about grades. So, this is a little Excel sheet that I will be sharing the link with y'all so that y'all can look over it. And I will be showing you how to read it based on Schoology. So, what happens is you have to look at your grade in a certain way to understand what is going to happen or what needs to happen um, with your percentages that you are seeing in Schoology. So, as you can see, this is Schoology percentages for grades. So, there are many different categories. Of course, to have a passing grade, you need a 70. So, of course, this starts at 70 and above. So you have the 70 category, 75, 80, 85, 90, 95, and 100. It just depends on what kind of grade you're looking for. It depends on what you have to do and what you have to receive in certain categories. The two categories are daily work and major, it's not major grade, it's major assignments. So what you get in your major assignments and what you get for your daily works. Now, if you were to receive 100% for your daily works, only half of that percentage would go towards your grade. So that means daily works will get you up to a 50 if you get 100 in that category, which means for major grades, you would only need 40%, which would give you the last 20 you need to get a passing grade. As you notice the category, the lower your daily work grade, the higher your major grade needs to be. But we do have this red area right here because this is unattainable. What I mean by unattainable is there is no way you're going to score 105% in any category because the highest grade you can earn for any assignment is 100. So once you have a 35 in your daily works, you have successfully, well, not successfully, you have managed to fail the course because there is no way you're going to get 105 in major grades when the highest thing you can get is 100. Now, notice this red category starts to push up the higher you want the grade. So for 75, it actually starts still at 105. So for 75, you still have the same disadvantage. You have to at least get a 50 in your daily works, but that means you have to get 100 in your major grade. So that means you have to pass every single major grade assignment with 100 to get a percentage of 100, which I am not asking anyone to do because that is a tough task because you would have to understand the assignments very well to get that high of a grade. And everyone has weaknesses. So there's going to be some concepts you're not strong in. If you want an 80, once again, you can't get a 105, and that's if you have a daily work percentage of 55. But once again, this is 80%. So if all you want is a passing grade, all you have to do is get a 40% and 100. Or once again, you can get a 65 and a 75%. It just depends on where you are. For 85, you cannot get anything lower than a 70% in your daily works because that means you have to get 100% in your major grades. If you want a 90 in my class, that means your daily works need to at least be 80% while your major grades have to be 100, or vice versa. Your daily works have to be 100 and your major assignments have to be 80%. For a 95, as you can see, we're starting to see a lot more red as the grade goes up. So to get a 95, you have to have one of these three percentages for your daily work, and then one of these three for your, well, they have to match because it has to be across. So if you have a 90% in your daily works, you're going to need 100% in your major grades to get a 95. And then, of course, 100, you have to get 100 across the board. Like every assignment has to be 100, which is, like I said, this is very hard to obtain because there is going to be a concept that you are struggling. Well, not so much struggling in, but like I said, you will be weak in it, which means you won't understand it as fully without studying it more. So this one, I don't really expect many students to get because it's very hard to achieve 100 on everything because no one knows everything. Now, I'm going to show you an example of some grade reports. There are 3 grade reports, and they are at very different levels. So I'm going to show you at very different levels how this works in comparison to this Excel sheet that you're going to have access to. So let's look at the first grade report, and I'm probably going to be taking notes just so I can remember these numbers and how I present this to you. So here's the first grade report. Now, the first thing you will look at when you are doing this is daily works. Because remember, on here, there are 2. You have daily work and you have major assignments. I really need to change this. This is actually starting to hurt me a little bit. Major assignments. Okay, so major assignment percentage. So right now, looking at this, we have a daily work of 4.12%. So if we go to this page, that means if the daily work is only 5%, then the major assignments would have to be 135% for a passing grade in the class. And as I said earlier in this video, there is no way you can do that because the highest grade you can get is 100. So if your daily work stay at this level, you have failed the class because there's no way your major grades are going to make up for that low of a daily work grade. Now, let's also look at the major assignment percentage. So the major assignment percentage is at 14.75. So the lowest you can get is a 40%. So that means anything less than 40% is going to look like these grades, which means 14 on your major grades will be like, I'll just round it up to 15. That means you will need 125 in your daily works to pass my class, which is impossible because daily works only go up to 100. So if this were to stay like this, you would fail the class. And that's kind of how it would work. Now, there are some categories that can help you out in your daily works if you are having trouble. That is the do now category because some of the daily works are do now grades. And then also the homework category because some of the daily works are homework grades. And if you fail those homeworks, because you only have 2 attempts, then these, if you completed these and passed these instead, they can replace what you were lacking in the other ones. But that's just just in case system. Now, let's look at somebody else's percentages. So for this daily work, we have a 45.59%. So let's talk about it. See, I should have wrote it down. So 45.59. So if they just want to get a passing grade from my class, and for their daily works, they already have a 45.59, basically like a 46 if you want to round it off. But that would put them right here at the 45 marker, which means they're only getting 22.5% towards their actual grade for the class. So their major grades would have to be at 95% because they're only going to get 47.5% from that to add to their grade to get their 70. Now, let's go look at the major grades to see if that's what they got, the 95. So, scrolling down, they got a 65.51. So they didn't quite make it. Because they need a 95, they only got a 65. But since they have a 65, Let me hit control. Since they got a 65 in their major grades, they can do one of two things. So if they decide not to touch any more of their daily works, then they would have to correct their major grades until they got it to a 95%, which is possible. But if they've already done 3 attempts on one of those major grades and is not already at a 95, then this is not a very good option because they only get 3 attempts on major grades. Now, because this particular student has a 65 in their major grade category, they would just have to work up their daily works to 75% to pass, which is a little bit more doable because not only are the daily works shorter, but most of the time I do help them on daily works in lunch tutorials. Major grade assignments mostly are done at after school tutorials, and many students don't make it to after school tutorials. So it will be kind of hard for them to do that one unless they understood it or got help from home on how to solve those types of problems. So these are the 2 options for this student, and it really could go either way. They could even balance it out and do a little bit of both because as you can see right here, they can get a 70 in both of them because this one is very close to being 70. If they also got that one up to 70, then they would pass the class. Now, we have one more student to look at, and then I will be done with this video and I will be sending it off so that y'all can understand how the grades work in my class. Now, for the last student number 3, let's look at their daily works first. So this student has an 80.61% in daily works. So let's see what that looks like just to pass. So they have an 80 in daily works. So that puts them right here. So with an 80 in daily works, they will only need a 60% in their major grades to pass the class. Now, let's also look at their major grades and see where they can level off. Wrong one. So let's go to their major assignments. So for major assignments, this student's got a 96.2%. So let's refer back to our chart. For 96 in the major grades, that is, we're going to put it at 95, kind of have to round it down to the nearest one. So with a 95, they only need a 45 in their daily works. And with an 80 in their daily works, they only need a 60%. Well, they have a 95 and an 80. So they clearly are passing the class because they have more than an 85 here and they have more than a 60 here. This student would actually be, let's see, where do 80 and 90 meet? So 80... Control 80 and then 95. So they got higher than, because at 95 they would need 60. So they're higher than 80%. So I'm trying to see where they actually cross. So here's the 80, 90. This one is close. So they're somewhere in the 85, maybe 90 range. Yes, so this particular student is somewhere between 85 and 95. So they may have an 86, 87, 88, or 89. They're somewhere in that range with these with these percentages. So they have a high B, because they haven't reached this marker yet. They would have to raise their daily works up a little bit more to get to the 90, because right now they have the 95, but they're only at 80% for daily work. So they would have to raise it by 5% to get to that 90 percentile. So I hope this video helps. I will be emailing this to parents and students in a moment so that you get a general idea of how it works, because I want you to start using this so that you can see what you need to pass my class for percentages. And this is literally just read the percentage for your daily works, see where you are, and see what you need in your major grades. And depending on which one is higher, you may just have to boost the other one a little bit so that you can pass the class. All right. So if you have any questions, I would be willing to explain this again. But until then, I would have to say bye.